So, sorry, it might be a little bit over today. I wasn't planning on the insurance going that long. Sorry. When I told him 5 minutes, he took a little bit longer. But I wanted to save the best for last. So I don't know if everyone's aware of John Rohan. John's down in Red Wing. His team.
Red Wing.
His team did over 34 million last year. If my numbers are right, John alone did over 17 of that himself. So I'm really honored to have him up here. I have some kind of prepared questions for him initially, and then I want to open it up if you guys have any questions after. I'm sure he'll even stay after too during lunch. Yeah. Chick-fil-A. You know? So, just tell us a little bit about you and your family.
Oh, okay. My wife, her name is Wendy Erickson. We've been married for coming on 40 years next year, so we're going to celebrate that. I have 4 adult children and 2 boys, 2 girls, and my oldest is married with 3 grandkids. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And then my oldest daughter is married, living here in Minneapolis. My next son lives in St. Paul, and my youngest also. Yeah.
And I know his grandkids are big to him because I met him at Little Oscars, which I think he owns part of the place. If you have a meeting with John, that's where you meet him in Houston, Minnesota.
I have twins that are, born on February 2nd. And so when they turned 2, it was 2/2/22 for those 2 kids.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. A number of birthdays.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what did you do before real estate?
Oh, well, moved to Red Wing in '86 and started real estate in '87. So we just got back when my wife finished graduate school. I was managing grocery department and large grocery stores prior to that.
So what made you jump into the real estate?
Oh, it was back then, I was 29 back then, and my wife's friend was the, back then you called the receptionist at the real estate office, and she just talked to the broker and said, I think he'd be good. And back then I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do that. I didn't know any reason why.
So maybe tell everyone about your first year in real estate.
Oh yeah, so first year in real estate, 1987. If you follow financial markets at all, 1986, 87, you remember that? Yeah. So that's when I started, and then when I opened Red Wing Home for Sale 2011, another, really bad time. So make it then, you can make it, yeah. So my first year, didn't know any better, so that's back when we actually walked around neighborhoods, did knock on doors, and got my name out there and all that kind of stuff. The world was different. 1-page purchase agreements, 1-page listing agreements, like road offers on the trunk of the car. It was great. But that first year, I closed 12 transactions, and my very first listing was for $19,500.
Wow.
Yes.
That would go really fast.
That was my first year.
So maybe, obviously people that don't know Red Wing, just a little bit overview of your business. Maybe talk about your first hire that you did.
Sure. I'm going to talk about my first hire as when I was with the team, Keller Williams, if that's okay.
Yeah.
That is it took me about 9 months to convince my daughter to join us as our marketing person. She's working as the marketing director for Chamber of Commerce in River Falls. And after that amount of time, she finally decided to join us. So that's been great. We've got somebody who does that now. That position is morphed into a lot of other things. But so social media, Instagram, Reels, all that. I have that. I mean, she has that. So I have access to see what we're doing. So that's good.
She's phenomenal. I've met her. She's definitely, that's a great hire.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone here and the 20 or so online would love to have someone like her on their team.
So 25-year-old, 20-something, that's awesome.
And then obviously, you talked about your daughter a little bit. It's obviously kind of a family affair, his business is. So maybe talk a little bit about the dynamics there.
Oh, yeah, so there's only 5 of us, and 4 of us are licensed, obviously myself, and then my lead buyer specialist, if you want to call him that, that's my son Isaac. He's been with us for 6 years now. And then I have my first administrative help, Neil Topliff. He's also licensed, and he does like client coordination for us, buyer calls, seller calls. He also does photography and does floor plans and that kind of thing for all of our listings. So, and I mean, he's good. I mean, we have people that have listed their house with us just because of his pictures. So, really thankful for that. So that's pretty nice. And then we have another agent who joined us last year as a buyer agent as well. So Isaac's kind of mentoring him. And then Abby, who stepped in, and she's originally started doing marketing, but she's kind of getting into the financials and operations as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe also talk about what were some of your deciding factors of joining KW?
Well, I would have joined Keller Williams when they first came to Minnesota. However, back then they were only located, I believe I had this right, in communities of like 60,000 population. That's kind of how I started in the Midwest, and that's my understanding from the guy up in North Dakota. Something like that. Anyway, so Todd Butzer, yes. So met with him numerous times over the years, but then in 2020 they opened it up to indie brokerages, and that's when I said, yeah, let's give this a try. And then obviously Olivia and Melissa, the other Melissa, I mean, have you ever been in a meeting with those two? It's hard not to say yes.
And I know Will Oscars was a big fan. I remember when I met you the first time, Olivia's like, you will be going to Will Oscars.
Do they still have cinnamon rolls this big?
They do. I didn't get them anymore. I used to, but there's a reason for that.
So you've obviously been in real estate for a while. Tell us about some of your failures that you've had.
Oh, yeah. Well, that could take a long time, but I'll narrow it down to 2. One of the first things that happened is when I got into this, my background of working was, nobody's been out working. And so, which I was working a lot, spending a lot of time, but that's not so great for your family. It's not a good thing. The choice of hours and hours of work versus your family, I look back on those first 10 to 15 years and I go, there's some bad choices there. I mean, family was way more important than whatever that important was. So the balance wasn't there. The balance is never really there, but I was always bouncing about what I should have. So kind of have that under control. So that was a big deal because family's always more important than that. And then the other thing too, after doing this so many years on my own as a single person running the business, I became kind of addicted to my standards of doing business. It's like this is this, and so when I had my very first hire, it was like I was that person that was not pleasant with anybody else's work. It had to meet the standard that wasn't achievable, but it didn't need to be that. I was not a very pleasant boss when I first started, just because there wasn't any way to get to that. And they didn't need to get to that, but that was a learning process. So being that person wasn't great for them, and it wasn't great for me either. So you have to let people run and let them run with it and trust that process.
So as Victoria said, you own Redway. So what's made you successful?
I think that, there's been a few things, markets have gone up and down the last 35 years. I think the biggest thing is kind of being involved in your community. That's important. And obviously, small towns, 116, as far as population. Being involved in your community. I'm not hyper involved, but I am involved with all my clients. Right now, No, we have a pretty good base of past clients, 2,000 to work on, and that's not. I mean, just staying in touch with buyer sellers, all that, and it's wonderful because well, small town life, you see them everywhere. You know, you just have it's just you walk around town, you have concerts in the park, or concerts, stuff like that. You see people all the time that you work with, and here's my whoever you help them out. So you know, a lot of that. It's different where you live, but where I live, those things are really important, and they work really well with us.
Maybe you talk about a little bit about your lead gen, you know, yourself or your team, what's worked for you?
Well, actually, some of that has changed with command, you know, with the fire hose of command, I would say, that there's so much there. But since we started, you know, embracing command as much as we possibly can, we have changed that. As far as our lead generation goes, we have very consistent farming that we do, and I have, you know how you talk about your 8x8s and 36 touch. Well, the nice part about my team is that's split up for different people. I have one person who loves being on the phone and calling people. I don't get that, but others that put together the marketing pieces, and so for us, it works out really well because, I mean, the things that I like to do are kind of tailored towards me. What he likes to do are tailored towards him, and what she likes to do. So it all kind of fits together. And so that's the prospecting piece. And as far as the marketing goes, you know, we're really taking advantage of monthly newsletters, and we do quarterly magazines, not only at local businesses, but we send those to farming areas as well as all of our past clients. So, but that's a great thing. You can do that all from within command. So we're trying to, you know, follow the programs as best we can, but also, you know, listening. I think if there's anything, it's you have to develop that skill. You might be ready for your spiel, and they're just like, I just want to get started. Okay, you can do that. And so I think sometimes we just have to be ready.
Obviously, in today's market, listings are hard to find. You know, what would be your advice after, you know, 30 some years? Getting those listings in today's market?
It really depends. But like, again, I'm super fortunate to have, you know, a database of a couple thousand sellers and buyers, past buyers to work with. But if you've been selling real estate, I would say you have to keep that continual follow-up, because we're always monthly to all of our clients saying, hey, you know, the market's changed. Would you like an update on your market value? So we're doing that constantly. And so oftentimes we did it last month. We don't need to do it again, but they may know somebody that does. So those are kind of the soft things that we do. It's not a hard, we don't really have a hard cold calling process, because we have a lot of soft stuff that happens, and we follow that up. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but it is approaching.
We have some new agents here sitting just right here. Do you have any nuggets for them as they're kind of getting started in their real estate career?
Yeah, I think it's really different. Anyway, my advice would be, number one, find a mentor, a team leader, a broker that is willing to spend the time with you to become comfortable in those settings. I think the biggest struggle for new agents is that I don't know, but I'll get back to you. I don't know, but I'll get back to you. You know, and I think that as a new agent, you have to realize that you've taken these classes, you've done these courses, you have your license. Okay, guess what? You just know, now you know more than any other buyers and sellers out there. Embrace that you're the expert there. And I think that's really important, but you have to get some scripting down. You have to know how to answer those questions. So work with your mentor, work with your team leader, your broker, to get to that level. I think the biggest problem that I see is buyers or new agents, they don't have that air of confidence about them. And I'm like, hey, even if you've just taken your classes, you know more than most buyers and sellers. Own that. You know, go in there with, I'm the expert here. Because if you don't, they're gonna see through it. They just are. And don't get caught up in the experience thing. Now, what I mean by that is, I primarily do listings. So I do the experience thing because that works, because I can throw all these big numbers. But you as a new agent, don't even go down that road. Be that most committed agent. I've got time for you. I'm excited to do this. Do that. Those are the things that are, every once in a while, I'll lose a listening to a young agent. I'm kind of impressed. I'm like, what did they do? What did they say? And I'm not a real good cheerleader. I'm not a great, I just not. But I'm impressed when that happens because they did something different. They did something new. And I'm trying to find out what that was.
Yeah.
So, but that would be my.
It's gonna change a little bit. What do you like to do for fun?
Oh, that's changed over the years.
Yeah.
I've had my kids, I have 2 hockey players, so that's a whole life. But now it's mostly travel. My wife and I do a fair amount of traveling. We've been doing some catch-up trips this year, which has been fun. But that's mostly what it is. International. My wife does a lot of. She's a road trip. I call her a road tripper because she'll be like, I'm going on a trip for 10 days out west, and she'll by herself in a car, and she goes. And I get updates and stuff like that. How you doing? Where are you? And she's real adventuresome. But no, mostly we've been traveling internationally, and obviously warmer in the winter. It's kind of our thing.
So, who would be your role model?
Well, I'm not a real person or a role model person, although I do have 3 very important friends in my life that, they keep me centered, and I respect and really am thankful for them. One is a neighbor who lives out the other end of my block. I don't know how this happens. You ever meet that person that is, I won't say always bubbly, but just a happy person? It's like every day they wake up and they're like, okay, whose life can I make better today? And they're like, so you see them from a half a block away, and they're like, hey, boyfriend, hey, girlfriend, have a great day. And or if you dare get close enough, you're going to get that hug from me. So I have one of those on my block, and she is the most amazing person ever. In fact, very few people know her first name is Cindy, but everybody calls her Yo Baby. Baby. And the other 2 people actually are mutual friends. Sarah's and she's known them longer, but when I was a council president at our church, I think, well, anyway, he was hired as an associate pastor there. He went on his way, his wife, and then they came back. And, Brian and Larissa are their names, and she is an amazing person. Just an amazing woman. She will probably own that someday. And Brian has taken a different route. He's become a pastor. He's written an author. He's written 6 books. He's now back in ministry again. But those relationships there are really phenomenal because we've been able to get to the point of friendships, vacations together and things like that. But if you have friends that give without any reason for giving, you gotta hang on to them, keep them in life as long as you can. So that's what those people are.
So, obviously I shared a lot of these questions with John prior. This is the question actually I've been waiting for personally. Tell us something about yourself that we wouldn't know. It cannot be on your resume. It can't be on LinkedIn. It cannot be in social media. None of that counts.
Well, I can't control what my youngest daughter says, so I don't know if it's on social media. But we kind of did a thing like this just a couple months ago. So one of the, these are the strange things. There's a bunch of them, but I'll go with. Back in high school, I used to wrestle. That was a thing where I grew up in eastern Wisconsin and wrestling. And so I wrestled all through high school. Well, I started wrestling at a little guy, 99 pounds, and weight classes and things like that. I don't know if you ever followed that. Well, and that was when I was a freshman. And then when I was a senior, I started wrestling at 99 pounds.
Oh.
I was, I was a very small person. I got over that.
Do you wrestle with your grandkids?
Oh, yeah, yes.
A little arm bar?
Yeah.
Do you like takedown?
He's in jiu-jitsu classes,
Oh.
and he likes to do that. So whatever that might be,
Yeah.
we roll around on the floor, it's fun.
So, I wanna open this up if anybody's got any questions for John. So, maybe the last thing, so I talked about the 34 million. Tell me the average home sale price is for that 30.
Well, we're pretty excited because last year it went up to, the average is 283, something like that, from 264. So that's a big jump for us, Now we can actually relate to the MREA when he does those 250 house average prices. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I think we could. So,
Well, that's very impressive. So, does anybody got any questions for John? With 30-some years of experience?
How
Or did
far,
I ask-
like, out of Red Wing, because I know you're licensed in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
What's kind of your radius?
There's a lot of you guys, a lot of really good agents out there, but we go to Cannon Falls and not really much further than, Hampton and Hastings. You have people there. So, but then south, we'll go south as far as Zumbrota, Pine Island. I have listed homes in Stewartville and in Sea Road and a lot of places, but those are specific. And then, so that's the Minnesota side. Wisconsin side is usually from, well, I'm listing house in River Falls right now, and then we've gone all the way down to Pepin. So just a different market. And I want to say Wisconsin's probably 5 to 6% of our business, but that's getting busier and busier. It really is. So yeah, we're doing that, and 3 of my agents are licensed.
That was my question, was how much business you do in Wisconsin?
Yeah, less than 10%.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know springtime is kind of a big deal for the bald eagles in Red Wing. What's the largest number you've seen at one time?
They kind of, if you haven't been there, there's a park called Caldwell Park right down there, and you'll see it today. The most I've seen in one tree is 8. But if you just stay there for 20 minutes or so, you probably see 40, something like that. Yeah, they're pretty long.
Any other questions? Sorry, Jason?
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned early on being a tough boss,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm sure there was some headbutting there, but how did you change that? 'Cause
Well,
we all talk about change, it sounds simple and it's time, but
Mhm.
you had to make something intentional, you had to have a process, I would think in mind.
Sure. Yeah, well, and what happened is I developed what I call, I'm kind of the big picture guy, the long view. And so it took conscious effort, like you mentioned, to do that and say, okay, step back a minute. What's our goal here? How important are these things? And can we get there? Can we get to a place where we're both, feeling good about this? I'm feeling good about the response. He's feeling good about what he's doing. And it was just one of those things that, it's really, it's not you, it's me. And it truly was me, because I just had to let go and let good people do what good people do. You have to trust them, you have to give them your support, and let them run with some of those things. And guess what? Those little things, they eventually just, they get there, and it didn't change the transaction, it didn't change the deal. We're okay with it. So
Yeah.
if that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you guys have any other questions, I don't want to keep you guys from lunch and all that. I know John's going to stay around, but I just want to thank you for coming. And the one thing that I want to tell you, so hold you guys, there's 5 lottery tickets underneath 5 different chairs, $5 lottery tickets, you could win $500.
Oh, wow.
So, if you got one,
On their socks?
there's only 5, so. I see one already full, 2.
Also, if we don't have anything, it's not there.
Yeah. If you really want the insight, Jason's putting them out there, so. Oh, look at that. Oh, wait, sorry. Winner for the flowers, sorry.
Yes, winner of the arrangement is Lisa Williams.
Hey!